Some ideas are so big, so out there, that everyone just tells you it's impossible. Imagine wanting to build a bridge across a channel with raging tides, crazy strong winds, and fog so thick you can't see your own hand in front of your face. Well, this is the story of that impossible dream, a masterpiece of design that became the Golden Gate Bridge.
So this icon we all know and love, it officially opened its lanes back in 1937. It connects the city of San Francisco to Marin County, and it spans one of the most difficult stretches of water anyone had ever tried to build across. But getting it built, well, that was a whole other story.
And that really is the heart of this whole thing, isn't it? What do you do when literally every expert, every engineer looks at your plan and says, nope, can't be done, it's a fantasy, and it's going to end in total disaster? To really get why people thought this was just a crazy idea, we've got to look at what they were up against. This wasn't just another construction project. This was a full-on battle against the forces of nature. Okay, look at this list. It wasn't just one problem. It was everything, all at once. We're talking a nearly 2-mile wide gap with water over 300 feet deep. The tides were so powerful they could tear a ship apart. And you had constant howling winds. On top of all that, a thick, salty fog rolled in all the time, which didn't just make it impossible to see, it also made steel rust like crazy. The people who said no way had some pretty good arguments.
So who's going to step up to this insane challenge? A guy named Joseph Strauss. He was the chief engineer, and he was completely obsessed with this idea. But his first design? Oh boy, it was a mess. It was this clunky, ugly thing that one critic called an upside-down rat trap. Yeah, that one got rejected fast.
You'd think battling Mother Nature would be enough, right? Nope. Strauss also had to fight a war against people. And that opposition was just as fierce as any storm rolling in from the Pacific. All right, get ready for this number, 2,300. Any guesses what that is? That's how many lawsuits were filed to stop the bridge in a single year, 1930. Just an incredible wave of opposition trying to kill the project before it even started.
So who was lining up to shut this thing down? Well, the main opponent was the Southern Pacific Railroad. They owned most of the ferries that took people across the bay, and a bridge would pretty much sink their business. Even some early environmental groups like the Sierra Club were against it at first, worried it would just ruin the natural beauty of the area.
So if the state wasn't paying and the feds weren't paying, where did the money come from? This might be the most amazing part of the story. It came from the people. Right in the middle of the Great Depression, local citizens voted to approve a $35 million bond, and they backed it with their own property, their homes, their farms, their businesses. They literally bet the farm on this bridge. Okay, so the money's there, the lawsuits are finally out of the way. Now for the real problem. How in the world do you actually build this thing? And the answer involves some totally new, groundbreaking engineering.
This right here is just brilliant. See, you couldn't just build the main cables on the ground and lift them up. They were way too heavy, so they had to build them in midair. They took a single wire, about as thick as a pencil, and shuttled it back and forth from one side to the other over the towers. They did that over 27,000 times for each cable. All in all, that's 80,000 miles of wire, spun together in just 6 months. Absolutely incredible.
All right, another number for you, 19. And this one isn't about steel or concrete. This one's about people. 19 lives were saved because of one revolutionary new idea. See, Joseph Strauss was actually a pioneer when it came to worker safety. He made hard hats mandatory, which was a huge deal back then. But his biggest innovation? A massive safety net stretched under the entire bridge. It cost a lot of money, but it saved 19 guys who slipped and fell. They started calling themselves the Halfway to Hell Club. What a name, right? So, we've got this engineering marvel, but there's another reason we all love this bridge. It's just beautiful, right? But believe it or not, that iconic color almost didn't happen. Can you believe this? The US Navy wanted it painted in black and yellow stripes, like a gigantic bumblebee, so ships wouldn't crush into it. But then, the steel started arriving, and it was coated in this reddish-orange primer to protect it from rust. And the consulting architect, a guy named Irving Morrow, saw it and had a total light bulb moment. That color was perfect. It popped in the fog, but also looked incredible against the golden brown hills. And people really got behind Morrow's idea. Artists, like the sculptor Beniamino Buffano, wrote these passionate letters about how the color, which he called red terracotta, just worked.
It added to the bridge's elegance and felt like a part of the landscape. And wow, am I glad they listened. That color, officially called International Orange, is everything. It's what turned a piece of infrastructure into a true work of art.
So the bridge is built. Story over, right? Not even close. The next chapter is all about how this thing has managed to last. Building it was one challenge. Keeping it standing has been another one entirely.
So it opens in 37, ahead of schedule and under budget, believe it or not. But the work never stopped. In the 60s, they had to start a massive project to replace all the lead paint. Then came the real test, 1989. The huge Loma Prieta earthquake hits the Bay Area. Other bridges were damaged, but the Golden Gate, it just swayed and flexed, exactly like it was designed to, and came out without a scratch. And it continues to evolve, like with the recent addition of the Suicide Prevention Net System.
And the fact that it survived that quake, that wasn't just luck. It's because they are constantly working on it, studying it, and adding new technology and reinforcements to make sure it can handle whatever California throws at it next.
You know, when it was all over, Joseph Strauss didn't just write up a technical report. He wrote a poem. At last, the mighty task is done. It's kind of perfect, right? The engineer who fought all those battles, he knew he had created something more than just a bridge.
When you really think about it, the Golden Gate is more than just a way to get from one place to another. It's a reminder of what we can do when we refuse to give up. And it makes you wonder, what are the impossible projects we're facing today? And which ones are worth that same kind of fight?